Hello folks, today we'll be preparing to finish this hardwood trim, or otherwise applying an oil-based polyurethane. Now polyurethane is an excellent sealer which will enhance the durability and overall finish look of your hardwood trim. It can be applied in most hardwood situations such as cabinetry or picture frames or furniture. So there are several types of polyurethane out there. This today we'll be using an oil-based polyurethane which will leave a somewhat amber tone to the wood. As we have a red stain on our wood, this will complement it nicely and give it a rich luster. If you're using a lighter based stain, or if you have a lighter shade of wood, you'll want to stay with a water-based polyurethane, or known as a polyacrylic. This will help prevent some of that tinting. Several different types of polyurethane out there. We have a liquid form and an aerosol form in front of us. There are different finishes as well. Now, the gloss shown on the bottom is going to be a harder polyurethane, and that's going to be for sections that have higher wear. Think of hardwood floors, trim sections like we have today, and on the top we have just a clear satin. Now this is going to be the least reflective surface and the most likely to wear. Think of picture frames or items you don't handle very often. Of course, in between we have a semi-gloss, and a lot of times you'd see that applied to cabinetry. Now, anytime you're applying polyurethane, you're going to want to take precautions to protect yourself. Polyurethane, at least oil-based, is a hydrophilic chemical, and it will bond to skin. It loves water. Keep this stuff out of your eyes, off your hands. It'll take about a week to wear off if you do get any on there. Good polyurethane application and achieving a smooth finish is all about dust management and cleanliness of the surface. Of course, you'd want to prepare your trim or your surface you're applying poly to with a good sanding coat before you stain it to get it as smooth as possible, but you're going to want to come back afterwards with a nice, what's shown here is a tack cloth, basically just a rag that has a little bit of a sticky oil or resin on it that'll suck up any dust. You can use another, like a t-shirt with mineral spirits as well. That'll help work. You want to stay away from water as it will raise the grain of the wood and ruin that finish for you. Next will be the actual application in that clean, dry environment. Ideally, you'd want to keep it fairly temperate. The warmer it is, the faster polyurethane dries. It becomes much harder to finish. Shown here in our first is a lamb's wool applicator. This is a great tool for using on higher volume jobs where you're doing a lot of application. It of course is not very precise. You're more or less just slathering the stuff on there. I like to use a lamb's wool applicator in a dish that's a little bit too small for it. That way if you set this down, you don't accidentally dip the entire applicator full of polyurethane. Keeps one end of it a little bit drier. In between every coat, you're going to want to do a light finish with or light sand job on that finish. You will not want to rub so hard that you rub through the poly and into the stain, as you'll get lighter and darker spots, but you'll want to go with about a 220 to 300 grit sandpaper, enough to help polish that surface a little bit. It'll give that second coat something to grab onto and hold to that surface. And now this second coat, in most cases of poly, at least in moderate wear areas, will have 2 coats. You can go up to 3, but keep in mind the more poly you put on, the darker orange or the darker amber you're going to get over the top of that wood. What we have here is just a foam applicator brush. Great for smaller jobs, very precise. It's very easy to manage how much poly you have on there. In this case, I like to use about a 2-inch brush for cabinets and different items like that. If you're working around different routed edges, depending on the complexity of them, you may want to use a Q-tip or something to manage the amount of poly that's being put down. As with any job, you'll have a little bit of cleanup at the end. With an oil-based polyurethane like this, we'll need to use mineral spirits or maybe a naphtha-based solvent to get that off the brush or the applicator for a second use. Stay tuned to our next part to see application of polyurethane.